Hey folks, Kevin here. Well, it's June 19th, 2020. It's hot outside, so I'm inside answering or responding to some comments and questions. And so in this video, I'm responding to a question from Russell, a comment and a question from Russell. This is in response to a video I posted of the tour of the second food forest about 2 weeks ago. So in the first week of June, I think. So Russell asks, "Thanks, Kevin. I'm glad you recovered from the virus." And this is in reference to a tour of a food forest. He said, "These systems take years and years to fully establish. As a 35-year-old who is practicing what you preach on a much smaller scale, using hand tools only, what ideas do you have from preventing our lands from human dismantlement once we are gone? Is there a way to make permaculture a clause of a real estate purchase?" Well, I think this question's awesome, and Thea, my wife, and I have discussed this a few times. Now, our kids are grown, our grandkids are in their 20s for the most part, and none of them really see themselves at this point in time in their lives as wanting to take on everything they see here. They look at me and they see it's never ending. It's part of my personality. I like working hard, and I have a vision that they don't necessarily share. So it's a question that we have about how to create this system, this property and the systems, the design systems that are here, that other people will want to maintain and to further develop as time goes on. All too often, as over the years, I've seen things that I thought were of great value diminish in value because they become abandoned because it's too much of a workload and other people aren't seeing the benefits and aren't enticed by the system that was there. Certainly historical places are maintained because some society has some sort of trust to take care of those places, and there's also often an endowment or some financial investment from some source to help maintain the properties. My goal is ultimately to design the system so that it will not just reflect my mission in life, but to facilitate this as an educational facility where information can be disseminated, and not just by using YouTube and other social media platforms, but ultimately so that people will come on site, have workshops, teachers will be able to bring students for tours here. There could be workshops where people come to learn various things, internships, scientific research, all of those things. And that's my goal and my dream. And we've looked into various types of trusts, but we're ultimately going to have to get an attorney who deals with trusts, or an advisor to help us plan for the future. I've been so busy, and Thea's still working and still busy here as well at the same time. So we haven't taken the time or made that investment. However, there are a few videos that I have created. I'm sorry about the sweating here. It's quite hot here right now. There are some videos that I'm going to mention in this video that I think would help to give you an idea of where I'm coming from, a little more, let's say, bullet point perspectives in these videos about where I'm at and how I think and how I process things. So the first thing, it deals with ethics, principles, investments, and design. So the ethics are, and I've made a video about this, and it's called Permaculture Ethics, Earth Care, People Care, Fair Share, Return of Surplus, Future Care, and Transition. And basically and that video was posted in February of 2017. And but my ethics, quite simply, are self-care, earth care, people care, and future care. And in several videos, I've gone over those what I think each one of those actually mean. The second thing are principles, and certainly the permaculture principles are very, very important, and they're readily available online. I made a video in February 22nd, 2017, Permaculture Principles of Ecological Design and Whole Systems Thinking. And when I said whole systems, it's with a W. It's really the whole, trying to think of all aspects and all elements for resiliency, not sustainability. We need to go beyond sustainability because the current state that we're in is not sustainable. So we don't want to maintain this state. We want to have systems and health systems and supportive systems that are resilient to the challenges that are coming before us for years, in just a few years from now and for many years from now. Things that we aren't even aware of as of yet. Sorry about all this sweating. Then as far as investments, in March 21st, 2020, I entitled a video, Healthy Investments for a Crisis. And I go over what I think of as being the types of investments. And most people, when we talk about investments, we're often thinking about our financial portfolio, our cash, our home, our mortgage, our 401k, that sort of thing. Well, I group that as just one of 10 different investments. So I'll put a link to that in the upper right-hand corner as far as what I think healthy investments are. And this is social capital, cultural capital, spiritual capital, intellectual capital, educational or experiential capital, and so on. So there's 10 forms of capital that I think we need to invest in, and certainly our health which is in alignment with the ethics, making sure we're constantly investing in our own physical health, and then our intellectual, spiritual, cultural, social, all of those various forms of investments. Then design. This is really, if we want something to be not only sustainable, but go beyond that and become resilient, design is the most important thing. And so I've posted a couple of videos about design. The first one, Fundamental Elements of Good Design, and that was 3 years ago I posted that video. And some of these videos are just a mind map and me talking through the mind map as the different components of it. Then in April of 2019, last year, Whole Systems Design, Farming, Gardening, in April 2019. And that talks about the various aspects of good design as well. So in essence, what I'm talking about design is, it has to be, whatever it is that you're designing and building, it needs to be attractive, inviting, enticing, encouraging. You need to feel better once you're there and wish you were still there once you leave. It needs to be intuitive. It needs to be rewarding. You need to get something out of it. So really good design is going to meet multiple needs, and it isn't going to be challenging or difficult to feel comfortable in that area and feel an essential component. And it's going to be educational, the design. The design should always be feeding your knowledge base as well. So those are some of the things I talk about with good design. The other thing that I haven't made videos about yet is the ability to adapt and to changing times. Like right now in our culture, in the United States, all over the world, there's social changes, there's cultural changes, there's political changes, there's all sorts, there's racial issues, there's all sorts of things that are coming up again, and they've come up over and over again, and we need a way of meeting our needs, our society needs, and our cultural needs, and to address are design systems. And so a design is always getting renewed. It's always getting another look at it. So, you know, like one of the people that I think of is Elon Musk. Is when you buy a car from Tesla, that car is always getting upgraded in some way, some over the air. It may be a battery enhancement, it may be some new feature, playing games on your big screen, and I'm not going to go into a Tesla video here, but the way I would characterize Elon Musk and the way that he's created a system that's captivating and always evolving is there's radical, relentless innovation. So when I say radical, I know there's a negative context associated with that term, but radical just means getting to the root of it. You need to get to the foundation. You need to get to the footer if you want to build something that's going to last a long time. And so when we get to the root of it, with a tree, if you destroy the roots, you've destroyed the tree. If you destroy the roots in a plant, you've destroyed the tree. So we need to get to the root of the matter. And so that's radical, radical, relentless, and that means constantly revisiting the situation, say, is this necessary? Is this appropriate? Is this meeting the needs? Is this old school? Do we need to update this system? So radical, relentless innovation. What are the changes? Always in a state ready to make changes, because I want to be a better person tomorrow than I am today. And today I want to be a better person than I was yesterday. And that's with all aspects of life and health. And I treat this property, this mindful living sanctuary, with that intention. The design is always being looked at. We're not going to settle on whether it's recently doing gardening and all. So using weed mats, well, in the future we won't be using weed mats, but we're innovating to make weed management, pest management, water conservation improved each year. We're constantly modifying things. We got a couple of birds having a tussle outside, in case you hear that. So we're constantly looking at that, but that isn't the end goal, because eventually I don't want to be using weed mats. I want to be using, planting our crops in cover crops. I want to not be bringing other materials on site like animal manures and products like that. I want to be treating the microbial communities and constantly building soil by just using the waste products that we have here on site, and letting the cover crops do a lot of the work for us as well. So by keeping and I won't go into this too much, but you know, by controlling what we're doing in our gardening beds helps us to secure those beneficial microorganisms have the environment and the resources that they need to help us put as much nutrients into the food that we're producing here as possible. And the same thing, and I've made videos on bioremediation and how we use the canal systems and swale systems, and we recapture any runoff from our composting systems. And we're next to an old landfill next door to us that's also a gravel mine right now. So we're doing bioremediation. We're using biological principles and organisms to transform what would be harmful to the environment or harmful to our health and well-being by running those excess nutrients or those excess components going through the system and going through phytoremediation, mycoremediation with fungi, using aquatic plants as well for bioremediation. So we're using all of these systems. So it's a whole systems way of designing this particular property so that people can come and do research potentially in the future and learn at workshops and experience things in a very pleasant environment that's intuitive, interactive, that supports social interactions that are healthy and beneficial as well. So those are my thoughts on it. How to get it to the point where someone isn't going to dismantle it after I'm gone. I don't have the answer to that yet. But once there's a system that's designed and the system has to be so good that people are going to want to support the system in the future. Right now it's just us doing what we can to build the system, but ultimately it's a long ways from where we ultimately want this whole system to ultimately be able to meet the needs of many more people than us for many, many years. Not sure how I'm going to do that, but I trust that it will come about as long as I keep creating a system and developing it in such a way that eventually someone's going to stumble onto this and want to help support it in the future. So I'll make sure to mention these videos down below and put links to most of them. They've been produced over the years, and I'm not that great at presenting all of these bits of information, but I hope you get some value out of this, Russell, and anyone else who's interested in these topics as well. No matter what level you're at, I think it's wonderful. I think it's great, Russell, that you're starting off 35 years old, working at this point. In 25 years, let's see where you're at. But it doesn't have to be like this system that we're designing here. You don't have to have all the resources. There are many beautiful small-scale systems that are wonderful, and if we educate our public more about these systems and really provide them with adequate information, I think people will be motivated to help support it and sustain it, or make it more resilient for years to come in the future. Don't be afraid of changing things and learning and adapting as you go through the process. That's what I'm doing all the time. So if you found this video of value, please give us a thumbs up, share it with your friends. Any comments or questions, please leave them below. And by all means, folks, have a great day. Sorry about the sweating. Bye-bye now.